If you spend enough time around people from Generation X, you'll notice something interesting about them. They tend to handle things on their own, quietly. Not because they want attention, not because they're better than anyone, it's simply how they learned. Many Gen X adults rarely ask. They troubleshoot problems quietly, alone, figure things out on their own, move forward without much discussion. To understand why this happens, you have to go back to their childhood. The environment Gen X grew up very different from today's world. For many Gen X kids, childhood looked something like this. You left the house, morning, your parents were always working, the day was yours to navigate. There were no smartphones then, no location tracking whatsoever, no constant supervision at all. Your parents had a general idea, but you were figuring things out. You rode bikes across town, you settled arguments yourself. If something went wrong, you solved it without adults. At the time, felt normal. It was simply normal life. Psychologists have long understood this. Environments like this shape children. When kids grow up free, something interesting happens in brain. They build internal problem-solving systems. Instead of looking for guidance, they learn to pause and think, handle situations completely independently. Over time, this becomes identity. Gen X experienced a lot. Independence didn't just come from freedom, it also came from uncertainty. Many Gen X kids grew up during noticeable cultural, economic change. Divorce rates were rising fast. Families were constantly restructuring themselves, both parents working very long hours. Children had to become adaptable earlier than anyone expected them. They packed their own lunches, let themselves into empty homes, learned to manage boredom alone, managed frustration without any direction. Psychologists call this early self-management, challenging in childhood, but powerful, produces adults comfortable navigating life without needing constant reassurance ever. But there was another ingredient, freedom, real freedom, not the curated, nostalgic version, the messy, unsupervised, real kind. Kids organized their own games, made up their own rules, argued, negotiated, repaired friendships themselves, without adults stepping in to referee. Developmental psychologists often point this out. Unsupervised social interaction teaches something extremely valuable to children: adaptability. When children manage their own world, they learn to read people. They figure out who to trust. They experiment with boundaries carefully. They slowly build emotional resilience. Gen X became experts at this, navigating ambiguity with complete ease. They learned not everything has solution. Sometimes best response is keep moving. This explains why Gen X appears unusually calm during uncertain situations. They've been practicing that skill, practicing it for entire decades. But independence has another side effect: privacy. Many Gen X individuals naturally private, not because they avoid connection, but raised in a world where personal problems were handled quietly. You didn't broadcast your struggles, you managed them alone, quietly, processed them, and moved on. This doesn't mean Gen X avoids connection. Their friendships can be remarkably strong. When connection isn't constant or performative, it often becomes more meaningful. Instead of hundreds of casual relationships, Gen X invests deeply in fewer, trusted people who truly matter. When loyalty is earned, it lasts. Psychologists talk about generational psychology. Shared experiences during childhood leave lasting psychological patterns across generations. For Gen X, those patterns include independence, adaptability, quiet resilience, always. They grew up world expecting children to simply figure things out. Over time, they did exactly that. So when people say Gen X, the most independent generation alive today, they're not just describing personality traits, they're describing a psychological result of childhood that quietly trained millions of kids to trust one very important thing: their own ability to handle whatever life put in front. And that mindset stays forever.